Let me formally say hello to all of you. So nice to have you here. Was missing our talks, and I intend to, from now on, to try and do it every Saturday at this hour. I hope this works for you. If not, you let me know. I can try and adjust a bit. Saturday and Sunday, I have some flexibility. We have people from so many different time zones. So that's why I prefer doing on weekends. So it's a little bit more possible for more people to join from different countries. And the idea here, what I would like, is to bring valuable information. If there is any one of you here, and you're, oh, I'm sorry, let me start again. If there is any one of you who is here for the first time, I want to introduce myself. I am Nancy Trivelato, and we are going to discuss here in this live about different topics related with spirituality, science and spirituality, the non-physical reality, how we can feel our energies in chakra, how we can manage the out-of-body experience, how can we separate what is a imagination of ours and just a process of our brain from a real non-ordinary experience. Those are not simple topics, and I do my best to bring light to them, and I dedicate to researching about them, and I love studying it from a down-to-earth manner and growing knowledge. I think the more we can study this in a way that is more objective, more scientific, of course, with compatible methods, the more we help this knowledge to be taken seriously, and the more we stop the so many not so well established information that we see around in many different places. Well, that is the internet, right? The democracy we have with the information nowadays. There are things that are well substantiated, others not so much. From my point of view, I try to bring the knowledge that it's more well established, and when not, I let you know always. And having said that, I'd like to mention that I'd love to get your questions, and if not questions, topics you would like me to comment. And especially when you ask a question, I love when the question has a tone of an experience of yours, of something that it's important to you, that you want to develop, that you want to understand, and that will make difference in your life. I think that is the most important thing in this opportunity, because information we can get from so many places. You can get my book. I can just record a video, you read one of the articles that I have there, you study one of the so many good courses that there are out there, but getting a clarification of an aspect that is not so clear to you, that is very valuable. So hopefully we can talk here with this tone, and little by little establish a community that we know each other even more. I know so many of you and recognize your questions, your cases. So that is wonderful. Is that good for you? Can we work like that? Yes. I like to answer the questions to the best of my knowledge as deeply as possible. So some of them, they will be very useful to so many people in so many different conditions. I'm going to start reading here what you are saying, because I really have to go through it as I am by myself, and have here a question from, or a comment from Aquiaulado. it's a Portuguese mix of words, and I was trying to read with an English mind. No, Aquiaulado means right here beside us. Okay, so let's go to it. I would like to know if there is a link between high sensitivity to energy, people, entities, and places. You mean energy of places, right? And the law of attraction. Thank you. There is, yes, a link, but the link is not so much with a high sensitivity to the energy of these places, but rather to the energy per se. Let me explain what I mean. The law of attraction is something that makes sense, but It's like in rounds, comes and goes some knowledge with different names. And now law of attraction have been very much used. In the past was miracle. People would do a course on miracles. And then before it was another expression. All of them good ones when we understand how it works. In the case of the law of attraction, what happens is that we create around of us, and we all have this naturally, some sort of informational matrix. It's an energy that is in our energetic field with some sort of information that is related with lots of our experiences from other lives, conscious experience, unconscious experience, repressed memory. Everything is here around. That's why sometimes a person may have an issue, sometimes even a health issue, that is related to an experience of a previous life. And of course, I can only state that for the cases that have been studied and have been confirmed. Otherwise, any situation could be this, and that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying in some cases, there are studies and points out to this fact. Therefore, even things that are not conscious to us, because they have some sort of impact, it's almost like an energetic information of that. That's why I called energetic matrix. Because of that, this quality, the pattern, the information that is there per se, start attracting or rejecting things. So, of course, somebody who is more sensitive perhaps could handle it better, but not necessarily. So, you see that the two things are different. The law of attraction is related with the information of one individual, and of course, what is around him or her, and how that connects with the world, with other people. And that will bring synchronicities. Now, someone more sensitive, perhaps, could observe something like in a step ahead, meaning going to a place and saying, I feel there's something here for me. I have to wait. I have to insist on this project I'm doing. Or I know this person here is something that is someone who is not good for me. I should not be in the presence of this person. In this case, it's not the law of attraction, right? It should be the law of rejection. But the point is that people sometimes attract to them things that are not good, things that they have not experienced in a good way in the past, or some situations that for them they are hard to take, and they attract it anyway. That's why some situations that we may want to overcome, they seem like to come and go non-stop, non-stop. And the more we can, and now comes the sensitivity, aqui ao lado. Now comes the sensitivity, meaning the more sensitive we are, the more we can spot this, the more we can adjust our energy, and the more we can choose what type of information we put in our energy. But we can only choose until one extent, because someone may lie to oneself. I have no problems. If there are problems, better that the person does not convince it's himself or herself of that, because if we convince ourselves of something that is not true, then we have no way of working with a situation. For example, if there is a problem, what yes we can do is, I have a problem. That does not mean I have to go down with it. That does not mean I have to be affected by it. Does not mean this will or should or can take me out of my balance. But yes, there is a situation to be addressed. So having more of this lucidity, I'd say, in terms of energy and being able to sense that makes a big difference. I do not know if you are doing my course in Portuguese of the energetic force field, are you? Because there we talk a lot about this. The idea of the course is exactly how we can focus on all of that and cleanse things that may be gravitating around and we do not know it's subconscious or it's from another life, or it's simply intrusion. Entities, spirits that hang around, or that they are present in our workplace or in our house. And little by little, they affect how we feel inside of ourselves, how we react, what type of thoughts we have. So that is something that we need to understand. Some of you guys have been asking about the course, the force field here in English. And today I just managed to sort out one of the technical problems I had. And hopefully we are going to start this year. For those of you who want to go with me, it's 4 months. Very enjoyable. Lots of discovery and self-adventures, but also adventures with energy outside the body and exploration. But it's a serious study. But I'll bring you all of the details and give here one talk only about what we learn and what it is, okay? Just letting you know. I'm going to adjust my camera. You give me a moment because it's not so well. Oh, now better, more centralized. It makes me uncomfortable and it's not well established. And then I have another one here that I'll do the same. Perfect. Now it's good. Thank you. Is that good? Aqui ao lado. I enjoyed saying this name. Sounds like Japanese. Aqui ao lado. Here on the side, or here right by the side. You know, like us Brazilians, I have been to Japan 12 times. And so in total, I have been there for perhaps 1.5 years because I would stay for a long time each of these times. But there is one thing that is amazing. Now I'm gossiping with you, but at least I feel like sharing this. When we would say some words in Japanese, and I would love learning the words, and I would take note and bring some papers with me, and I would read the sentences, but we Brazilians find so easy to pronounce the sounds in Japanese that people would think I speak Japanese, even though I could only say hello, goodbye, and where can I find the restroom? And that was it. But you know what happened? They would simply start talking to me in Japanese. Blah, 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 blah. Oh, so strange. So strange. That is an experience that is non-ordinary in a different sense. Okay, guys, I have so many interesting stories about situations I have experienced in relation to Japan, but non-physical and energetic. Some things that have happened, past life recalls I've had there, have a great connection. Good experience and not so good experience. Maybe one day I share with you just as an example, just for us to be here chatting. Today I go to your questions. So let me make sure I'm not skipping any question. Cyril is here with us. Hi. Long time you have not been here. Naim, Marlies, thank you. Akiolad is saying he didn't take the course yet. Okay, one day, if you want. Also, I have Ali here with us. Hello, Ali. And there is a question. You know what? I just remembered that I can bring the question to the screen so you read with me. Question. Direction of the body in comfortable position has an effect on success of OB attempt or not? Direction, I assume you are saying with the head towards north, towards south. Is that what you mean? I've never noticed anything like that. Never noticed anybody in any of the courses to many hundreds of people that I have offered. I have noticed anything. I've seen people trying to do research to see if that would make some difference. Never seen anything. To me, it's logical also that it wouldn't make a difference because we are in the physical body and we are trying to disconnect all of the experience that we have in terms of separating from the physical body, expanding the energy, making the energy more flexible and trying to push our way out of the body, not too soon, not too late, and all of that complexity. All of this, in a way, it's very important for our success, much more important than the direction. Now, If you are lying in a position that is comfortable to you, you already said yes, that is key. If you are with a pillow that keeps your head in the right position, that is key. Because some people, if their head is too lower, they tend to lose lucidity a little bit more, almost because the head is more irrigated, so they are more asleep. Few people, but I'm giving you examples. For other people, they'd rather be a little bit, in a higher pillow or with some pillows so that they don't snore, or the position of the head. So these details are immeasurably more important than the position in terms of the cardinal points. Hope I understood your question, and I hope I could explain well. And then I have here Isaiah. Hi. I know understanding comes with time, but I want to know what's understood about life purpose. No, I am within a path, but sometimes it gets hard. I always keep going. I feel things will come together. Isaiah, I would love to comment different aspects about what you just stated. Okay. You mentioned about life purpose. And actually, I think I have already had people asking about this, especially here in the English community, several times. So I decided that next talk, and let me take note of it, we are going to talk about life purpose, life vision. Sounds good to all of you? Too many questions, so let's address that properly. But what happens here, Isaiah, is that, and I will bring your question again in a while. I'm taking notes so I don't forget the topic for the talk. So what happens is that all of us, we have some sort of purpose. But what is understood about this? There are different concepts there. One is the purpose for this life, that it's greater, is something for our personal growth, wisdom, maturity, something that we can amend, arrange, adjust, and leave behind us. Behind, I mean, when we pass through a situation, we leave the situation better than before, so we make a difference. That's one idea. There's another idea that is perfectly, combined, they are intertwined, is the idea of life purpose, that each of us, we need to have a reason to wake up in the morning. We need to have a reason to make a little bit more effort for something, even if that's a small thing. It doesn't have to be the purpose of my life is to become a scientist, to create a new vaccine that I'm going to advocate that it goes to that country that is in need. It doesn't have to be on that. It can be, well, my purpose is to study this subject here that I love so that I master something and I can decide on something small, something that's for you, but it's a purpose. It's something you want to build. Now, without this purpose in a smaller sense, something that we want to build, we may never get to see the bigger purpose, because we have to have a feeling inside of us of what is the direction of what we want to achieve. What is it that is missing? It's just a fuzzy idea of what's the direction, but we have to go the first step and the second. But then there's something here that you add, that you feel like sometimes it's hard, and it is for all of us. You always keep going, that's good. But I have a feeling from the way you write here that it's almost like, will this even come to happen to me? Getting to know it and things getting a little bit calmer. I promise you, if you start, going steps further, things rearrange. Sometimes they may fluctuate and seem a little bit tougher in the beginning, but we find a way through. But when we are in the same position and hoping things get better, then it's very difficult. And sometimes we may even be working with energy, but if it's just superficial, just for us to maintain, to feel reasonably well, just to keep going, that may not be enough. We may need to work deeper, or energy work's not even important. It's just a matter of putting things in motion and seeing what comes. I invite you to just take a look at what you would like to change and go step by step. Not big steps, small steps. And examine what stops me. Make a list. And then you apply energy while working with that list. You think how much that list is good for you. You know, one of the reasons, just a parenthesis, okay, it's no longer answering your question. But you know, one thing that I believe creates lots of confusion in people's mind is the idea that, well, I have to discover, people would say to themselves, right? I have to discover my life mission or my life's purpose. Or I need to know so that I know I'm going to the right direction. Or when I find out if I am in the right direction, everything is going to be easy. No, depending on what is it that we are doing, what is our mission, things can be very tough. Doesn't mean we are suffering, but means we are making effort. We have to keep our eyes on what we want to achieve. And that is not uncommon, because if we think of my previous example, that is, well, somebody just wants to be a researcher to create a vaccine that is going to be distributed in next country. The person will advocate that. So let's think of that. Someone will make a huge difference. For example, in that country where politics are obscure, where the poverty of people are used to manipulate them, it may not be so simple to bring a vaccine there without facing a lot of counterflows, without facing a lot of challenges, without making a lot of people unhappy. And when we make a lot of people unhappy, we go against their interests. We are doing something good for humankind. We are supported, but we are receiving also the energy and from them, from those that we are displeasing. We may be facing some obstacles at some points throughout the way. So it does not mean that when we are on the right path, everything's easy. However, we know that's what we should do. We know if we give up, we will regret. We know that the reason why we want to keep moving is because inside of us, that makes sense. That's what says something to us, and it has always been. If we examine inside of us and we can remember situations from when we were quite young, I always point that as a technique, because when we are children, not yet contaminated by all of the movies and all of the cultural influences. And what people tell us, in each country it's a different thing. In a country you have to be married to a person that is successful, and in the other one you have to be a princess, and in the other one you have to be a model, in the other one, I'm talking about women, right? And in the other one, you have to be bossy or you have to be skinny. So we end up putting inside of us lots of concepts of what we should be, what profession we should have, how we should behave, what is to be successful. And now let's think of that, because that is a little gender dependent, fortunately nowadays less, but in some cultures still a lot. But when we think of it, how much these, just say, conditionings of our society influence us and stop us from seeing our path, from feeling, yeah, I'm doing what I would like to do. Doesn't mean everything is easy, doesn't mean I have zero problem, but it means I face them with a sense of joy, because I know what I'm doing and why I'm doing. I guess that's what we need. I do not know if I could answer your question, Isai. I'm not sure I totally understood the idea you had behind your words. but I was hoping that with what I commented, I would help you ponder about this topic. Does it help? I hope so. If not, you complement your question, at the end, and I get there. And here I have something from Andy, and he's saying, how can we trust that insights and intuitions we receive are coming from our spirit guides? How can we access their wisdom and help? That is a very smart question, because we receive so many insights. We get so many ideas that are not ours. All of us. All of us. Some people, they never even notice some of their ideas is not theirs, whilst others do. Some people get a greater lucidity on what is themselves and what comes from outside. But the only way to make this separation, this is part of the answer. I understood your question, Andy. But the only way to start with, to be able to separate what is our own intuition, or when is it that we are receiving an insight from outside? That's one very important thing, because we have our own wisdom. We have knowledge that right now is not clear in our brain because we have not dealt with some situations yet. However, we do have experiences that have taught us things in past lives. And eventually, we may be in a situation that pops inside of us. So this is just us. But we need to know us, to know ourselves. What really motivates us? What's our real character, our personality? The more we know ourselves, the more we can distinguish when we are getting some sort of intuition, or insight is a better word in this case, from outside. But having said that, when we can recognize that there's, I have an idea, perhaps that's an insight, or I feel I should do this, or I'm going to connect with something more spiritual, I will try to do a meditation to get an answer to something. How do I know if that is from the right person, right? Not that it has to be from the right person, but at least it's not from the wrong person. And person here, I'm talking about in a spiritual presence. But sometimes we can even have physical people thinking of something so much that they influence us. They do not let us think clearly about the issues we want to. It's almost like we keep getting their thoughts, getting their thoughts, getting their thoughts. And this is not so easy to get out from, especially to those that are very sensitive to energy. So the more we know ourselves and the more we can spot this at the beginning, the more we can put ourselves further. Some tips that I can give you, if I think like, how do I recognize, or how did I, or would I recognize years ago when I had less experience? Talking about years ago, I many times made mistakes. Why? I think because deep down sometimes we do not want to see the right answer. Because sometimes I would get one inspiration, like almost I would ask something and I would get an answer and say, okay, yeah, I do that next week. And then next week. And then next week. And then 5 years later, I think I should have done that. And in other moments, we feel like, I feel like doing something. I feel like talking to this person. We feel a kind of a push to do something. When we feel that push, sometimes we kind of are in doubt, but we do it because there is a push. So the number one thing is, when we receive an insight or an intuition, it's very much mental. It's very much like the information. You participate, but you have an absolute choice, as I had, and I told you, to postpone, not to do different. So we have a greater free will when it's an inspiration from a spiritual mentor, a true one. because spiritual mentors, they respect our free will a lot. They respect our even our mistakes, because if we are corrupting ourselves with something, we will learn eventually. So they do not push. So this word push, you feel you have to do something. If this happens, but it's a push from outside, not you saying, wow, I want to do this. I want to do it. That's okay. But it comes from outside. You have to do it. You have to do it. Then most probably, and I cannot say for sure because each of us we feel things in a different way, but most probably not a very evolved spiritual guide. I like to call it spiritual mentor. I just think the word mentor defines better what they do. But we are talking about the same thing. So that is one of the things that I follow. The second thing is that when I get an intuition that doesn't match with my way of thinking, my principles. So we have to have, and we go back to our self-knowledge, right? We have to have an idea of what our values are, what our principles are. We have to. Because if we don't, then we may get intuitions that are very logical. But have you ever heard about logical fallacy? Somebody puts you arguments that, yes, they are logical, but it is not going to work. This is not going to happen. This is not ethical. This is not in this way. If you want, all of you guys who are watching me here, take a look. Logical fallacy. And some spiritual presences, they use a lot of logical fallacies with us. Because when they cannot influence us, and I'm talking about the not positive ones, those who are not a spiritual mentor, when they cannot influence us just by telling us, giving us inspirations on what to do, or by pushing us with energies or creating emotions on ourselves, or just pushing some aspect of our personality that's not the best, but they push like pushing buttons for us to react in certain ways. But sometimes when these things do not work, or depending on our personality, they may resort to logical fallacies, meaning kinds of comes a sequence of thoughts that yes, but if that person could be, it could very well be true that, but it's not well based. It's just an argument that is not truthful, even though logical. That's more or less the idea here. And I think when it comes to this, the one thing we have to do is know our principles and think, do I agree with this? Yes, I do. I think that's how it is. And that's how I want to go. Go. And then it's always good, because if it was not the right path, we learn. But the bad thing is when we feel there's something fishy here, there's something that doesn't quite settle well for me. But still we do. Why? Because it was an intuition, because it was in a sacred place, because we were, I do not know, with the crystal of something, or we were doing a ritual of something, and then we have to accept. We do not have to accept any idea that we do not feel is right for us from anybody, anywhere. That is important, because inside of us, our personal principles will kind of, sound an alarm. Bam, 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 when something is not conforming to the best for our evolution. And having said that, I'm going to repeat something that I said in the beginning of this talk, but I need to make a parenthesis and reinforce it. We need to know ourselves. We do make mistakes. We do have things that, they need to be polished. They need to be perfected. But, and the question was very intelligent, was how do we know if there is any sort of insight coming from outside, and how do we know if that is from a spirit guide? Because in spite of us being in charge of our lives, some people more or less. So it depends on the self-determination one has. In spite of that, everybody is in contact, energetically speaking, with others. And everybody influences and is influenced by these energies around. Those that are more sensitive can even pick it up more. Doesn't mean they are more, how would I say, in worse condition. No, but it means they are more sensitive. They read, they pick it up more. So then more they need to know how to distinguish. Could I answer, Andy? That's not so simple question. So I tried to. Excuse me. Can I go to the next one? If not, you just compliment there if something was not clear. So I see here Aki Orlando saying it was good. The answer, Vinit has a question. How are you doing, Vinit? Nice to see you here. Question is, how can we access Akashic records in astral world? Ah, so interesting. I was just thinking of this because just half an hour before coming here with you, I was in a panel of different scientists from different areas, and we are discussing about terminologies and how we explain some of these abstract concepts. Super interesting, but we were talking about the Akashic records and the terms people use to refer to that. Now, how do we access it? We access automatically, depending on our degree of lucidity. What do I mean by that? Let me explain the reasoning why and the mechanics of it, okay? I think it's important that we understand this aspect. To start with, we have some sort of energy that is very much in conformity with the environment, the non-physical environment, the astral environment, in each different layer, in each different community, in each different area of the astral dimension. Therefore, when we are in the astral dimension, we are already in contact with the Akashic records. As a matter of fact, here we are as well. But here is a little bit harder for us to notice. Why? Because our perception, and this is very much related with what I was just mentioning in the previous question, because our perception here needs to go through the senses of this body and then needs to be interpreted by this physical brain, even if the perception is not of a physical reality. So we have a little problem with the interface. In this case, I'm meaning the brain as an interface for us to handle ideas here. But when we go to our workplace, we are in contact with the Akashic records, meaning everything that is related to a subject or to a person or to a place, in a way, has its energetic signature, has its mark there. It doesn't mean that that will never change. The place changed, the person changed. Why? Because other things come on top, and then eventually there's a huge percentage of one type of information, of energy quality in the place, whilst that old one, perhaps the old one was negative. And then that becomes absolutely secondary. Nobody resonates with that anymore. But what happened. And the way for us to balance out is by adding different type of energy into a place. Now, having explained that, I hope you guys could follow. This is why some places could have influence on us and make us more sensitive, more open, more vulnerable, or just with a greater type of concentration, greater association of ideas, or can make us feel completely foggy with a fog brain, or make us have headache for no physical reasons. So in this sense, All of this is present in every dimension. And some information of the Akashic records is in multiple dimensions, and some are very much related with a specific place. I feel I should have explained the concept of Akashic records from the beginning for those who are not familiar with the term. But this is usually referred to, and I hope this is what you're referring to, Vinit, because, definitions are something that sometimes we have to make sure we are talking about the same thing. But this idea of Akashic records is an idea that everything that happened is, in a way, written in a record, but it's an informational record, it's not a real record. And it is for all history, all humankind, all of the planet. And then I'm going to add, and then for the non-physical dimensions of this planet, but then other planets, whatever their history and their conditions are. So it seems that, yes, energy leaves information. Energy leaves as I said, a pattern, almost like a signature, a record of the quality and the specific situation that happened. Some aspects of the situation imprint more than others, especially when there is a lot of emotion involved into that. And why would someone want to access the Akashic records? Now I'm going to guess, okay, Vinit? And you correct me if I'm wrong. But because sometimes we want to be able to know a certain time in history. We want to go to a place and know what happened there. We want to expand our wisdom. Yes. But why did I say at the beginning that we do not need to work on accessing that? We are there already because it is everywhere. Right here, I have in my energy body all of the information of what I have experienced. Does it mean I know it? No, because I don't have lucidity enough. Mental, I do not mean brain, okay? I mean in terms of the lucidity per se, our mental capacities, enough to be able to distinguish that. But throughout evolution, we get better and better. So if we are in the non-physical dimension, the best strategy is connect with the place where you are. Do not let your mind wander about and just focus in other places or think of situations of the past, because then you disconnect with the Akashic records there. I don't like very much, I just don't use the expression Akashic records. It's the same, but I like calling the energetic matrix of a place. I think it brings a little more precise terminology and definition. But anyways, so once we are there, sometimes we will know things about the place or about an object we see or about a non-physical consciousness, non-physical person we see immediately just by connecting with it. I have had several out-of-body experiences in which I am in a place, I'm lucid, but I do not know where yet. And I just think, what place is this? And pop, it pops in my mouth. Nobody told me. I just know it. I just access the information. Why? Because the information is there. I'm going, I'm going to try and look at that. Then you shouldn't. That's not a good idea. The information is there. There's nobody telling me. Of course, there could be also perhaps a mentor giving that an idea. No, don't go there. It's not the best. Or yes, go there. Or there could be another type of spirit. But I'm referring to the cases in which it's just our internal intuition. It's just our capacity to read the information that is around. In other words, I kind of explained what the Akashic record is and how this type of informational pattern is around of us all the time, no matter which dimension. But I didn't answer so much how to access it, because it's there. It's more how lucid we are during the experience. Did that help? I hope so. I hope I could, explore. the topic so that you see what makes sense to you, all of you, I mean. And then I have here, let me say, I have Jotun. I had a possible OBE where someone just blipped away and disappeared. Is that a common thing that happens in out-of-body experiences? Yes, it is. It is both sides. Sometimes you are the one that disappears, and sometimes you are seeing somebody that disappears for different reasons. Sometimes you changed dimension or the other consciousness changed dimension. I have here one video in which I tell you guys about a situation in which I had to use VELO to escape from a condition outside the body that was not so good. So I used VELO out there in the astral body. And VELO is an energy technique for those of you who are not familiar with that, but we have lots of videos explaining about this VELO technique, VELO. Take a look in the channel. But then, by doing VELO there, I could simply disappear from the environment I was. I went to a completely different dimension because I wanted to escape. I was in an environment that was not good. It felt more like a trap than a nice visitation from me. So I just, so from the point of view of those who were there with me, I disappeared. Imagine you are seeing, but I remained outside the body. Huh? I did not return to the body. But imagine we are in contact with someone and the person returns to the body. They disappear immediately. Sometimes it can be just a matter of the focus of our vision and our lucidity. It can also happen. Now, one thing that we have to think here, and I'm bringing again your question here, is to think that sometimes it can be a process of our vision, especially outside of the body. We see things in a very different way. So the best is to count more on the knowing, on the lucidity, than on what we see. I don't know if I could make myself clear. I hope this helped you, Jotun. There is no yes or no answer here, and that would be appropriate answer either way because it wouldn't say much, would it? So Peter would like also a live on life purpose. Yes, definitely, that's a date. In astral projection, I have another question here. In astral projection, can we meet God like Jesus, Krishna, and talk with them? Is it possible to know our past life in astral projections? Is it half, let's say half in self-realization? Awakening Kundalini? You asked so many questions, man. I don't even know where to start. But I'll start from the beginning. In astral projection, can we meet a God like Jesus, Krishna, and talk to them? We can, but we probably won't. Because these consciousnesses or the spirit who were these people at their time, they are evolving, they are in another missions, they are in another body, in other bodies. They should not be trapped into having their appearance, because that would mean being attached to one life, because they had one life. And then, if I understand what you are asking, then that is something different. Can you meet them in between lives? You can. Will you? Probably not. Why? Because they don't present themselves. Otherwise, it creates a confusion. Sometimes there can be spiritual presences that they can try and mimic, fake the appearance of big names like these to get close to people. So I wouldn't look for these. I don't think they would appear, the real ones would appear to anybody. Probably they could be even inside the body in another life. That's what I think. I do not know if it's what you believe, but the short answer is very improbable for your first question. Second question, is it possible to know our past lives in astral projection? Yes, it is. Sometimes during an astral projection, we come in contact with a part of a recollection or experience that we have had, and that brings the memory. It's actually more common to have a past life recall being projected outside the body than being here inside the body. But it can happen in both cases. And then you ask another thing that I'm not sure I can interpret. Is it health in self-realization? Awakening Kundalini? Is it? I cannot answer that. I cannot understand what you are saying. But I hope what I could answer was helpful. Is that okay? And then I have here a question from Peter. Could you please share your thoughts about ultimate purpose of humankind? You are a bad guy, Peter. Is there any vision for where people are heading collectively? Or is it all about individual soul development? I think it's a mix of all of these, Peter, and that's so difficult because history is rebuilding itself, reconstructing itself, reshaping, better saying, in each moment. And the free will of a few ends up impacting the free will of the many. But there are people, good ones, trying to make good impact. So at the end of the day, how will the humankind in general be impacted? I cannot answer that. But what I can answer is that when we have experiences such as cosmic consciousness, like that experience in which we feel like an expansion of awareness, and we have a contact with something bigger, in a sense that we go a step beyond astral projection, we have only pure thoughts and understanding. So there are different names for this type of phenomena. Or when we even have an out-of-body experience in which we are super duper lucid and in a very good environment that we can remember very well, we have a sense of peace. And that sense of peace almost comes from understanding that in the midst of the chaos, things are moving to a certain direction, and the direction is evolution. So we get a certain this sense of peace and assurance that everything is okay, even though nothing is okay. So that's what I can say. But the big question is, are we going to get to very advanced levels of evolution, manifesting all of the attributes we can manifest at the best of our capacity as very advanced, very mature consciousnesses, whilst this planet still exists? How long will it need for us to be able to achieve complete awareness of what reality is? Gosh, that is, when I think of it, I think we are better than what? 80-90% of humankind. At least we know reality is not only this. We are trying to get there. We are trying to think logically. We are trying to get information. We are trying to get out of the body and check it by ourselves. At least we already gave, this step. We are this step ahead. But when we think of it and we just compare with the few experiences, for me, for example, few out-of-body experience that I have had, and I say few, they are not that many, but they are enough. They were enough for me to understand certain aspects of evolution. And there is so much for us still to do to grow. Our society is so terribly unbalanced, isn't it? But that is the sum of the people who live here. And the majority do not know exactly what is to be ethical. They know what hurts them. But how many times you put someone that has been exploited in power and just become the worst tyrannic person of all? Hope I'm using the right expression, but I guess you understand what I'm trying to say. So, humankind. How can I better answer this question of yours? Could you please share your thoughts about the ultimate purpose of humankind? But the ultimate purpose of life I'm not going to say humankind, life, is to give us an opportunity, I think, of learning different skills, including lucidity, connection with others, including controlling energies to so many different degrees, and all of that improving ethics. That is what I see when I meet consciousness that feel they are more advanced outside the body. Lots of these we explain in the consciousness development program, but we don't just come and explain, because here, I'm trying to bring different arguments. But when we have a structure of teaching that goes step by step, presenting arguments and showing the whys and the mechanisms, when we discuss about this, then we have enough of a body of information to go so much deeper and to bring theories that are more well established. And we do have them. It's just not so simple to answer these, in a short sentence here. I hope I could bring some useful ideas, Peter. But you asked me a so complex philosophical question. I did my best. But bottom line, I hope we are moving ahead. If we all guarantee we die better than we were before being born, that's already great progress. The problem is that most people die different, but not more evolved. Because we are born with very little knowledge, and then we have experiences, we go to school, but we do lots of the same. We kind of continue behaving in ways that we already behaved in previous lives. And then we say, no, but I'm so much better after my 40s. But before being born, were you already this good? Because if you were, you didn't improve. You just recovered the improvement that you already had before being born. So that is not gaining anything. It's just remembering, recovering. So we have to get to this point, and then we need to go a step ahead. Then, when we pass through the biological death and we evaluate ourselves as beings, as consciousness independent of this life, we'll say, oh, yes, I developed this trait. I could get rid of this perhaps blind spot I had. And I'm not talking about shallow things, I'm talking about deep things. And we do that when we are lucid in between lives. We all do if we are lucid. Some people, they die and they are lucid immediately after death, but some take a while. And some never get completely lucid. They will be reborn, never having achieved the maximum of their lucidity. Hope I could bring ideas. Okay. I see some of you that are asking second question. I'm going to go down and then I go back answering the second questions. Okay, so I give opportunity to more of you who are here. Hello, Trevor. Thanks for joining. Is a reality check in a lucid dream seeming a bit like OBE possible as I tried to levitate and make a mark on the ceiling? I'm going to read again. Is a reality check in a lucid dream seeming a bit like OBE possible as I tried to levitate and make a mark on the ceiling? I think if you were in a lucid dream and you think of levitating and leaving a mark on the ceiling so that you could check later, that is beyond a lucid dream. If I understand correctly your question, I would put there more towards a lucid out-of-body experience than a lucid dream. But of course, when we think of an out-of-body experience, we think of an experience in which we go places, we do things, we communicate, right? But the majority of our experiences, they are as simple as this. We float, we see our bodies, we fly around, we pass through objects, we find ourselves in certain places, we see our energy, and eventually we go to environments that we interact, we understand where we are, we can study more deeply the environment. If I understood your question, I'd say that I would put there more towards the category of a projection, an out of body experience. And then here I think now everybody's question too. And no. Meita, hello, how are you doing? Can you please tell us of an experience when you meet your higher self during an OBE? Depends on what you mean by a higher self, because people use this expression in different ways. And that is a little bit confusing to me when I think of the out of body experience, because I don't meet myself in the out of body experience. I experience myself in the out of body experience. And sometimes I experience a version of Nancy that is better than this one because it's acting independently of the brain. So can have more of a balance, can have more of a logical pace of thinking with less intrusion of my own emotions. So that is the best I know of a higher self. If I say self, meaning my higher self. But I see sometimes when people talk about higher self and I read between the lines, of course, I cannot say this from what you wrote, but I'm bringing here as an answer so you can think of what is what. Many times people refer to a higher self as someone else who would give them support, who would give them ideas, who would be there with more wisdom. And I would just call it a mentor. A mentor that can be very close and we may see, but most of the times we get intuitions and energetic support and lots of nice feelings and ideas from a mentor outside the body, even not seeing them, because they may be in a dimension slightly subtler. And this experience I have had a few times, but more like with the intuitions per se. So I'm not sure I understood what you meant by higher self, which of the two concepts are. But anyway, I gave you an idea of how it's felt like. Okay. I'm not going to go through sharing experience because I don't know what you are actually asking. So I'll stop there with the comment. And then I have Carlos. Carlos asking, what do you think about those religious practices where spirits take over a person's body and drink, smoke, sacrifice animals, etc.? This is so common. Unfortunately, I say unfortunately because people get very caught into those energy. What do you think of it? What do I think of it? Number one, I cannot judge the intention of people there, because they may have the best of the intentions and they are using perhaps the resources they can, and they use this type of attitude and rituals to produce the type of energy that they feel would be helpful. Okay, having said that, all of the different types of rituals and sometimes ceremonies, because a ritual can come with different words, ritual, ceremony, initiation, whatever else you could think of. Healing session. But what type of healing session? Who are the non-physical spirits participating, controlling, guiding, coordinating the activities? We need to know that. And then sometimes, depending on the type of the non-physical consciousness who are coordinating that, as I said, it can be very, very complex, because it's almost like I give you something, but then you owe to me. It's a bit working as a mafia. I help you, but then now you are my pal. I'm not saying 100% of the cases. It varies from one place to another, but all of them, into different degrees, they have this tone. Why? Because when a consciousness, meaning a spirit, needs to use the body of someone to drink alcohol or to smoke, so sometimes it's a medium, who does not smoke, but they smoke like hell when they are under that possession, meaning they don't cough because the consciousness who is there knows perfectly how to handle that body. Sometimes some of these spirits enter in one's body, supposedly to do a good thing, but enters in one's body with no respect at all and go for hours and use the body in ways that leaves some side effects for the individual who is there serving as a medium. Takes too much of their energy, or the individual would start having companies, like being accompanied by non-physical spirits, consciousnesses who are connected to that specific religion or ritual. So it's not good because it doesn't give proper freedom. It's different than you engaging into a study that you start when you want, you stop when you want, you do what you want, and you have learning, know yourself. You can improve, but you are not committed to a group. You are not, doing initiation to be part of a group, and you are not owing anything to a group or to anybody. So these rituals usually have this sort of thing. So I don't judge in a sense that I don't intend to say what their intention is. Some seem to have a good intention, but I think the methods are not good. Like I'm going to make an analogy here that is strong, but it's to make a point. In the past, when somebody would show any sign of psychosis, any type of psychosis, things that nowadays, we are more and more being able to understand how they happen and what's in there. But in the past, when people would show any type of psychosis, sometimes if that repeated a lot or depending on the condition, they would do a type of treatment that is close to lobotomy, but it was much more rudimentary. It was called trepanation. Do you guys know what that is? Trepanation, it's a process. It's a therapeutic process that is making a hole in the top of the person's head. And the idea was for the bad ideas to come out, or for the bad spirits to come out, or whatever they had in mind, making the person less crazy. Well, that in some cases would work, because if you make the person become, a vegetable with not enough energy and capacity to do things, not even intruders, not even spirits who would want to possess their bodies want this person, because this person has no more energy. So, or no more, no, has little. It's not appealing enough. So what I'm trying to say is that in the same way, those who would do trepanation in the past on someone thought they were helping. Maybe those who work in this ritual think they are helping, and maybe they even help in some cases. Maybe they do. And I know cases that people were helped. At what cost? I cannot say, because it depends on the condition of each of them. In my opinion, it's not, how can I say this in good English? It's not my piece of cake, It's not what I like. Why not? When I went for the first time in one of these centers, it was a center that they say it's a spiritist center, and I was trying to help some situation in the family. I was very young. I was not even in college. I was very young. I was maybe around 17 years old. And I went to a place like this that I did not know how it worked, but I believed it was possible for a spirit to help or to disturb, because I have had many experiences before. So I knew it was a fact. So I went to that center. When I arrived there and I saw the things happening there, in my mind, and I knew nothing, the only thing I knew was from the experiences that I have had by feeling spirits around and this sort of thing, good and bad experience. But what happened is, when I arrived there to that place, I had in my mind some very logical, I would say, some ideas that to me now I say, I had a good discernment. Because number one, I arrived there was a line and we would just say our names or something. And then I asked, how much do I have to pay to participate and to ask questions? Oh, we don't charge. Here, everything is for free. Okay. Then I continue in the line and they come. Now you have to buy this candle. This is a candle that you need to buy for the spirits to work. And now you have to buy this. And then in my mind, and I thought, then it's not free because I was not given a choice. I had to buy. Okay, I bought. I entered with the best of my hopes and the best of my ideas. But then I start seeing the development of the ceremony there. And I saw this sort of thing that Carlos described for the first time in my life, and perhaps first time and only that I saw, because I was not very fond of that. But I will explain why. I was there, not even knowing mediumship existed, apart from the phenomena that I have experienced. That was never mediumship, was different phenomena. And I entered there, and I see those people kind of being possessed. Some of them, being thrown on the floor, and others speaking in a funny way, others smoking, the other would, start behaving strange, different ways. And I look at that, and I thought inside of myself, I think that is real. That's absolutely possible. And I trust what these people are doing is true. They are not faking. But in my mind, I thought, but I don't see a need for this. Why do they need to allow their bodies to be used in this way? If they are going to send me some energy, just do it. Period. Why do they need all of this ritual? Because it's a type of offering to the non-physical spirits who work there. And that offering causes these non-physical presences there, these spirits who work there, gives them almost like a currency for them to help us and do things. So it's an exchange. If you could, you guys understand what I mean? So then I thought, this is not the way I want to do the work. I think it has to be natural. Help happens, and I'm open to hear my spirit guides and to work and to sense them. But I am in control, and I do not accept that my body would be used in this way. That I would be made unconscious, unless it's to save somebody's life, and that's the only way. But even so, probably I would resist. So this is my style. I'm not saying what's right or wrong, but I do not know how to answer this question in a different way. So would it be possible? Yes. I'm going to bring here. Would it be possible for someone to die from having their energy constantly sucked? But that was not the question. It was a different one. Was this one here? What do you think about those religious practices that goes into somebody's body to do this? So I answered what I think. Hope it was at a good dose. It's not too much, not too little. You guys help me to adjust. And then I have Ayush. Welcome. Hello. I have vivid dreams, just concerned that what does astral projection feels like. So you have vivid dreams that are related with what astral projection feels like, or you want to know if your vivid dreams are astral projections? I cannot understand your question completely. So I'm going to go back and start with the second questions of all of you, but here is Rajat. That's the first one. How your book on astral projection, A Prime, in vibration state and energy resonance help in out-of-body experience? So I will start from the back, okay? The book on vibration state help by explaining to you what are the mechanisms that happen in the energy body while we are separating? What sort of techniques you can resort to? And there it covers very importantly the technique VELO that is very good to help loosen up and balance the energies. It helps, it increases the percentage of success in the out-of-body experience. But that is it. The book Vibrational State is not about out-of-body experience, even though, yes, it explains several aspects of it. especially aspects related with the disconnection from the body. But the book Astral Projection, yes, there are several tips. I don't think I have any technique explained there. Yes, I do. I do have a technique that's a more universal technique, and several aspects that I consider essential to build up more knowledge on top of them. So I tried to make something very simple, but still that would provide foundations for somebody to think about their own out-of-body experiences. So that is it. My The ebook was not available simply because I had a problem in the website, but it's sorted out. So from now on, if you want, you just go to my website and you can get it. I think the tips there are valuable. Now I'm coming to the second questions, and there are just 3 of them or 4, and then we stop. Is that okay? Hope I can spot. If I miss you, forgive me, it's not intentional. Just a second more. So Isaiah, about the question that I answered to him, right? It was good help, though I can't see the whole picture yet. You asked about the life purpose, right, Isaiah? I cannot see the whole picture yet. I know exactly what I'm doing. Perfect. That is very nice to hear. And the comment about the counterflow was helpful. Yes, because it confuses us, right? We assume everything is good, my intention is good, then the universe must open for me. Oh, if it were like that, it would be easy to be good. But most people find a way to escape from their real commitment. So it's brave of you that you are hanging there trying to understand. Congratulations. And then I have here another question that I have answered. Arby has here a question. Is your free book on astral projection and vibrational state? I think you have read, I have read, answered these, right? Is it help in go into samadhi? The second part of your question I have not answered yet, but what helps us to go into samadhi is VELO. And I will explain why. Because that starts making our energy field more and more looser. And we reduce energy blockage and makes our energy, like an energy field around of us, more and more clean. Because of this, we start having more lucid experiences during the night, more dreams, more lucid dreams, and eventually more astral projections. And all of this favors a lot the expansion of our lucidity. So samadhi is some sort of cosmic consciousness, expansion of lucidity or awareness. So all of these processes, they are interrelated. So all of this helps, including attempts to leave the body, to astral project. But sometimes people do attempts, but they are only making effort. They are not yet being able to go anywhere. That's why sometimes it's better to start from the basics. Prepare your relaxation, become good at working with your energies, become good at VELO, reach higher level of lucidity, knowing what sort of energy is around, knowing you have the tool you need to master your experience. And all of these build up to the point of having greater chances of reaching samadhi. Samadhi does not happen as easily as a regular out-of-body experience. Having said that, many people have it spontaneously. So, of course, it is possible and it's not needed to do an energy exercise or anything. But if we think of strategies, that is a good way to go by. Learning to concentrate, learning how not to be with our mind too busy, too obsessed with some ideas. It's a complex thing. We have to want but let go at the same time. And we human beings, right? When we want something, we want now. now. Are you like that? We want now. Okay, Jotun. So here I have your second question. Have you ever been to or heard of an astral meeting, like many people in a group, guided in a way when being out of the body? Yes, I have heard, and I participated in some of those. Usually, to discuss like a major thing. Suppose I'll just give an example, okay, Jotun, that was what I experienced, but I'm not saying it's always like this. It's just to give one personal example. I have had more than once actually experiences like this, but I will mention one or two that I remember, but in a very simplified way. I remember once that I was with a group of people. I do not remember every word that was said, but there was some discussion about the importance of doing something here in the physical life. So it was a discussion about a goal, like a purpose that was common to all of us. And I do not know, or I didn't know, everyone that was there. But in that specific case, I knew two guys there. One actually, but then later I knew another one was there. I'll tell you how. I saw among all of those people one guy that used to work with me, and I say, "Oh, this guy is here as well, huh? I'm going to comment with him tomorrow, see if he remembers." And I remember it was some sort of a lecture, but it's not a lecture, more like telepathic, but it was a mental, intellectual work, if I can refer to it in this way, but all of us together. The next morning, when I mentioned to this guy that I saw you, we were in a type of conference. Do you remember? The environment was like this, and there were some objects like this. So, anyway, I described some of it. And his answer was, "No, I don't remember any of that." Okay. But I was sure, I was very lucid, but that's okay. Then later, another friend of us arrived. We all worked together. And she come and say, "This night, I had an experience in which I saw both of you in an environment like this and this and this, and we were discussing topics related to blah." And then I said, "Also, she was there. I didn't see her, but she saw me. But she also see the other guy, and the other guy doesn't remember anything." So this sort of thing is not uncommon. The point is who organizes that and what for and how complex that is, because that's complex. Suppose it's a meeting that is to put a lot of people together so that they can work together for a goal, even if it is to help in a natural disaster. There was an earthquake, and these non-physical mentors, they need support, they need people to go, projectors, I mean astral projectors, to help. So they go and they get one and another. Get means meet them outside the body and kind of gives them a ride. So it's just telepathic and energetic. It's like we go together, sometimes instantaneously, sometimes it's a fly. But then some people in the middle of the way get lost because they got distracted. Some people, they try to get them because they are good at a certain task, but they don't wake up outside the body. You know, somebody who is, when you want to wake up somebody in the body, and the person is like, imagine something like this, but in the astral body. Sometimes it happens. So the person is not lucid. The answer is not that the person is sleeping, it's not lucid. So it's not so easy to put a group together. It requires a lot of preparation. There is a degree of non-recollection of the process, but this can happen with many different purposes. Anyways, I gave you one example, right? And now we stop here so that I can go to another question. Could I answer your question? I hope so. I hope so. So I think I have not answered this question. Um, no, any research done, if I know any research done on the effect of electromagnetic field on lucid dream or OBE, I don't, I know of some research done. I do not know of any conclusive studies. If that would be an interference, that's a disaster for us, right? Because nowadays we are surrounded by that. Even some of our alarm clocks and our mobile phones close to us. I don't see much interference. I guess the logic thing is if we are going to do a technique to leave the body, we will optimize the condition. And optimizing means, okay, let me remove all of the equipment that we have in this environment from the cable, from the outlet. At least, if there is an interference, I'm minimizing. But I never experienced any interference. I do not know of anyone who say, I cannot project because I felt it. Even because when we are in the astral body, we can go to a power plant. We can pass through high voltage cables. We can enter a volcano in eruption. The astral body is not hurt. But I understand here you are not referring only to that. You may be referring to if by that affecting the physical body would make it more difficult, right? That could be. But in terms of our lucidity and our capacity to be free when we are outside the body, definitely it does not interfere. Because as I told you, we may have a projection with a huge cable, one of those that are connected to a transformer in our street. And okay, we pass through it, no problem at all. But if it has an interference in the physical body and that could cause something, I wonder. I would say no, because I've never seen any evidence of this. But that is a question mark for us because this is a relatively new in our history, right? For humankind. Could I answer your question, Ali? I hope so. I see here Prakash. Now I hope I pronounced correct. From India with us. Very nice to have you here. I don't remember having seen you here before. I have one other second question here that I will answer and then we stop. Carlos is asking, would it be possible for someone to die from having their energy constantly sucked out by a spirit? Should I answer that? Yes. But it's not because let's understand, yes, but how, okay? How here is very important. Because it's not sci-fi that the person will be sucked, I become a cadaver and a zombie. Oh, no, because when we speak in this way, that is the image that comes to our mind. But in this way, no. But indirectly, yes. Because someone can be so affected by some sort of intrusion. And when I say intrusion, some intruders use our energy, suck our energy. But some give us energy of a type that is like contaminating, is toxic to us. Emotions, confusions, energy that are, that just create more and more blockage on us. So that will affect us in many different ways. Affect our capacity to concentrate, affect our capacity to focus, for example, if you are driving, how focused you are, affect our capacity to be calm in a moment that we need to be calm in a discussion, affect our immune system because it affects all of that. We imagine our emotions and how our immune system can be affected. It is possible. And then we end up perhaps getting ill or getting very devitalized, losing motivation for everything, and maybe even coming to the point of dying of an accident or of an illness that was not natural, was prompted by some sort of non-physical presence contaminating. This exists. this happens. Having said that, so I explained how it happens, okay? So it's not that, no. But having said that, it's so amazing that we have almost like a natural self-defense, because in a condition like this, can you imagine with the level of lack of knowledge that most people have, how it would be a disaster if it would be so easy to affect us? It's not so easy. Why not? Because we have some natural self-defenses, because some spirits may want to get close and closer and closer and closer to us, but they don't manage because we have parts of our being, like our personality, our characteristics, that help us not to succumb completely. So there are different mechanisms that operate there. Besides, sometimes there are mentors. So many individuals, and it may be the case of some of you who are watching here, you may feel that sometimes there are things that are not so nice around. You feel your head heavy, you have strange dreams, you wake up not feeling so well. But on the other hand, you know something's protecting you. You know you can look for solution. You know you are going to survive that in a way of being able to go through it and get well at the end of it. So this sort of a feeling is only possible when there are also non-physical mentors supporting us. The problem is that the non-physical mentors sometimes they are subtler, not sometimes, they have a subtler astral body. Their energies are less close to the density of the energy here of the physical dimension. So we kind of feel we are being supported. We know it, but we feel the attack very much here in the body. So we feel our throat, and then we start coughing, or we feel something else. Of course, I'm speaking of very, very drastic, impactful situations, but these exist. And then we feel like, well, then how can I be sure that there are these guides there? Because if you are feeling hope, if inside of you you feel, no, 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 I'm going to work with, no, this is not me. I've got to do something about it. Oh, I'm going to think positive. Oh, let me do a meditation. We could not do that if we were not in connection with good energies as well. So that's why we have some sort of natural self-defense. But at the end of the day, who wins? And how many people cannot have completely their balance restored? How many even forget who they really are because they get used to that level of intrusion? Too many, too many. And that is one of the reasons why I teach so much the VELO technique, because that is the best technique to avoid this sort of situation. And I'm not saying just because, oh, that's the method you created. I created because it was very effective for me. I researched more than 2,000 hours of examining people and the results in their lives before concluding the value of the technique. There's real research behind it. And this technique that I call VELO, VELO, if you are watching me and you are not familiar with it, take a look. There are lots of information here in the channel. I have a course that is just focused on the practical side, step by step of the VELO technique. It's VELO 101. You can find it in the description because that technique is impactful and it helps us a lot. But of course, we have to be determined to, how would I put it, to keep doing the technique, to go against all of these pressures that we may be sensing sometimes. Some people, they want to do it, and by miracle, they cleansed all of the, I'm sorry for the word, I will put the S, bling, 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 that they have been doing for 10 lifetimes. Now they want to sort it out with 3 sessions of a technique. Well, sometimes we have to do it. It's not a matter of time. It's a matter of allowing the information to surface. You see it, you cleanse it, you remove the extra physical people, the spiritual presence that may be there related to it and disturbing. So VELO is very, very important. This course that I'm going to offer, hopefully next month, I will be announcing to you. That is the force field. This course is based on VELO because only people who does VELO can take the course. Because this course works so much to establish an energy field with a certain pattern to create like barriers, but not like as if it were shielding, because there's no shielding in terms of energy. Everything is a matter of frequency, and one thing penetrates the other. So it's a matter of adjusting the information of the energy field that you have around of you and in your bedroom and in your house, so that those that would try to come close to you or enter in your bedroom, they would find that they are welcome. So the frequency of the energy and the information there let them pass through, or they are repelled, rejected. They cannot enter. We do not, when we are projected, we cannot enter in any place we want. We go anywhere we want. That's not true, because there's got to be some possibility for us to connect energetically to a place and go through, how would I put it, that pocket of energy that is the main thing in that environment. But most people, everyone has an energy field, but not everyone has an energy force field. That's what I mean by force field. So this course force field will be there soon. I'm just saying because those who are going to do it, they need to know VELO. They don't need to be perfect with VELO. But if they know, then I guide you step by step, and we are going to work together step by step for 4 months. That's it. And at the end of 4 months, we have touched so many areas of our lives. I enjoy very much the results. Anyways, that's it. I'm going to keep you informed. I guess I answered all the questions too from everyone, right? And that's it. So I'm going to, I have a question too here. I'm going to bring Peter, you see. Is there a way to fluently communicate from non-physical to physical? I had an experience where slightly unpleasant entity seemed to be talking, but I couldn't see anything else. That is very common to happen. There's not much we need to do. I asked about what was she doing there, right? She said it was well beyond my ability and reached towards what felt like my throat. It was one of my first close interactions with other entity in non-physical. When I asked, what is she doing? I immediately felt like I knew the entity is conveying something to someone in the physical. I'm just curious if I misunderstood what was happening. Look, Peter, this you are describing sounds like a real experience. We do see this sort of thing. But sometimes what you are calling to communicate with a physical person could be just trying to connect energetically and then produce some sort of effect. The more, the closer the non-physical the presence is here to the physical dimension, the more they do it by connecting energetically. When they are more subtle, they connect more mentally. And if you had that contact and you say slightly unpleasant, good that you said slightly, your slightly means you are in control of the situation. It was a bit unpleasant, but you remained, you tried to understand. That is great. Congratulations. But then they went and they touched your throat. How was the feeling? Because usually that's not very nice. But I cannot say. Maybe they touched your throat and unblocked, and you felt you're with much higher lucidity afterwards. But that's not what I read in your description. What I read is that they just touched your throat. So you keep an eye, because this sort of thing is just a presence there. Just, mimicking something or trying to connect in some way, or maybe even trying to connect with you by making you think they were trying to communicate something. I don't know, but this here sounds fishy to me. Not dangerous, fishy. And the way you did was very good. Next time, what I think you could do even better. Number one, VELO there, so that this consciousness cannot touch you. Eventually, some mentors could resort to touching us. It's not a real touch, but it's like touching and producing a huge positive effect, like our energy pulse. We feel unblocking, we go to subtler dimensions. None of this happened. And that is a very exceptional conduct. The other thing I would do here is also emit energy to this consciousness. Because if it's a mentor, they won't mind. They will say, well, Peter is very mature with energy. He's observing, he is in control of his energy, he's calm, and he is checking out what is going on. When you emit energy, you kind of connect more, but you are in control, right? You are connecting instead of you are being connected by somebody. So then when you emit, you kind of sense what is going on, what's the intention, but you can also put some quality of energy there, meaning, hey, not no messing up with my energy field, no messing up with me. And if we are going to communicate, I want clear communication. This here sounds like a real experience, sounds fishy. You are lucid, but not so lucid. Otherwise, all of this I'm saying would have occurred to you there. Because this is just a logical, almost like instinctive reaction we would have outside the body. But that is a great experience you told us. And I have to stop. Goodness, it's 1 hour, 40 minutes we are chatting. That's wonderful. So next Saturday, I will be here with you again. And I will talk about life purpose. Goodbye. Thank you for being here with me up to now. And I look forward to seeing you next time. Ciao, guys. Thank you.